Roy, how'd you feel after that Verzine shot?
Feels great.
I didn't hear you, Roy, but I get it if you don't want to talk to me.
I don't know why. Are you trying to make zine a thing? You're not even saying like
that's
scene.
all that was.
You're not even saying
It should
like
be
scene.
I'm fine, and don't ever say that again.
I call it a zine, man. It's a zine.
It's terrible.
You're saying it like it's a magazine, like a zine.
Yeah.
Well, what is it?
Scene.
Vaccine.
Jesus, guys.
The scene.
With
By the
C.
way-
With a C.
By the way, for everyone who's been vaccinated, they did not. I had my first one on Friday. They didn't tell me that would make you shit about 30 times in the first 36 hours.
I think that's just a you thing.
Which
Yeah,
one?
that's a
No.
you thing. That didn't happen to me.
No,
Which
people,
one did you
people tell
get?
me, yeah, it does that.
Which one?
Pfizer.
I had Pfizer.
Me too. No
That's
shit.
it. You didn't take dumps?
No.
Took an abnormal amount of dumps. I don't know why.
Are you certain it was Pfizer, or perhaps it was the night before? Or
No,
know.
it was Pfizer. It's the only thing I did different. The only thing I did different over the prior 24 hours was I got a shot.
I mean, was that second shot or was that first shot?
That was the first shot.
Okay, because I know someone who's had some second shot shits, but
See, there you go.
no first shot
Second
shits.
shot shits.
Classic
Wow.
zine.
I'm nervous because I'm getting the second shot on Thursday, Moderna shot. And so I heard that the second shot, you can get sick like right after they administer the shot, or it could be 6 hours, but you're going to get sick. That's what I've heard from the second shot of Moderna. Very nervous about it.
My mom got sick off of the second shot of Moderna, but my dad didn't, so
So it's a coin toss?
pretty much
Look at all of us, bunch of ziners.
Yeah. We're
cutting it up.
yeah, we're doing our Vaxxer show-off session right now.
Yeah.
Vaccine show and tell.
The card's a little big, you would agree, right?
Way too big.
Thank you.
Way too big.
Yeah.
I
Where
don't
am
understand
I supposed
it.
to carry it?
I don't understand what the point of this. Now, obviously, you take a photo of it, but if we're just going to take a photo, so many people are going to be photoshopping this shit. It's ridiculous. I don't understand how, if you actually see the numbers, we're among the best in the world in vaccine distribution, yet no one had the presence of mind to actually put a card that would fit in your wallet. It's so American. It's just big and audacious for no apparent reason. I understand that there are some really long names. If you look at the card, there's room for some insane names. I mean, we're hyphenating a lot more now, so I get that, but you can go smaller font. There's just no reason for this thing to have to be folded 3 times to fit inside my wallet.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
It's just for him. We can thank him. Wait, isn't he Canadian?
He is?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Is that even the longest name in the NBA? Wouldn't that be Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot?
Oh, shut up.
Oh, go yourself. I mean, right off the bat, I don't care. Monday morning, I am going to drop F-bombs. I mean, seriously. Say that again. I dare you.
Timothy Luwawu-Cabarot.
Oh, go yourself.
Stugotz is supposed to say TLC.
Yes, exactly.
Are you guys leaving this writing on your car windows as a badge of honor from the zine?
They wiped it off. They wiped it off before I had a chance. Yeah.
You gotta
They
leave
did it for me.
I like seeing all the people on the road and then giving them like a little nod, a little zine nod.
I don't mind the big ID, the big card that says, because, Mike, I feel like it should be big. I feel like you've gotten the vaccine. Everyone should know about it. So I don't mind that it's a big kind of card that shows that you got the vaccine. I'm okay with that. Like, we should be proud of it. It should have V's all over your body, man.
There are these targeted IG ads that it's like, get your card laminated, and it's just specifically geared to people that have vaccination cards. Get the vaccination card laminated. I'm like, we've been doing lamination for as long as I've been alive. I don't understand what this is.
But Mike, if not for the IG ad, would you know how to get something laminated if I forced you to today?
Yeah, you go to a FedEx Kinko's, right? That's where a UPS store, I think, right?
You would have never thought about laminating it if it weren't for the IG ad. That's the idea. It's not that lamination is new. It's that laminating that card, you would have never had that idea. But IG looked out for you, and this is how you repay them.
I would have given it thought. I mean, as soon as I had to fold it 3 times, I was like, I folded it 3 times, and then I was like, oh shit, let me take a photo of it before this thing goes to hell and put it in my favorites. So I unfold it, and immediately it looks like I've had my vaccination card for 20 years.
What are we going to eventually use that? Everyone's going to be vaccinated at some point,
You're sick
right?
of masks. You thought as soon as you got your first shot, you wouldn't have to wear masks anymore.
Yes, and I'm still wearing
Go to
a
the
mask.
West Coast. Go to the West Coast of Florida.
Or just travel
Chris,
up north.
Chris, they haven't been wearing masks since the day it started. So, I mean, I guess you're right. Perhaps I should go.
I'm going up to Tampa
Right.
in a couple of weeks for WrestleMania, and a couple of my friends live there. So I'm like, hey, what time does everything close? And they laughed at me. They laughed at me like I was an idiot. I'm like, hey, things are closing at 8 and midnight here. If you go up to Broward, Fort Lauderdale's become a hot party spot. A lot of people that have had parties in Miami.
So is Del Rey, by the way.
Just go up to the 954 and have their parties. It's actually kind of reverse. Miami is now like the conservative part of Florida, and such that it is, because I walked through the garage today and I saw 6 people sleeping in their cars.
Yeah.
So I mean,
The same car?
I'm always tiptoeing. Yes.
half in one car. Yeah.
I find myself tiptoeing around the garage these days when I get in. I feel like I'm waking people up. I'm serious.
Yeah. I had someone shush me when I was just locking my car.
I mean, what are you laughing at? You've been in this garage before.
I like the idea that it's become so commonplace that you're the one who's out of order now, like, making all this noise at 7 a.m.
No, Mike, myself, and Chris, what we're doing is we are entering people's homes at 7 a.m. now because there are people living in that garage.
So I parked on the 4th floor today, which is unprecedented for this garage on
I
a
went
Monday
5th
morning.
floor. 5th,
All right.
yeah.
So you do that thing where you turn the corner and you see an empty spot on the 2nd floor, but you already know, geez, I wonder what's occupying this spot right now, because there isn't a car in there.
Yes.
So it must be a full bar. Sure enough, it was like a wedding reception happened in just this one parking spot.
I bypassed a spot that I believe Chris took on the 4th floor for a 5th floor spot. You took that spot. There was shit in that spot.
I couldn't tell. There was like some kind of expired either tobacco. There was a half-consumed bottle of water, and I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. I don't want to go up to the 6th floor. I'm gonna get out. I'm
expires?
Gonna. It was like
Yeah.
kind of like it was, I don't know, run over, or it was like something where it was just tobacco leaves on the ground. It expired in a different sense.
No, Billy, what it was it was a cigar, okay? It was a blunt, okay?
Yeah.
He
Someone
took all
pushed
the
out the
tobacco
tobacco.
out, put it on the ground, and used it to... I know too much.
Why
about
would he
this.
do
I'm
that?
sorry. What do you mean, why would he do that?
Why would they dump out the tobacco?
To use the paper,
Good
replace it with
tobacco.
marijuana, right?
Because tobacco is bad for you.
Yeah.
Because they don't, when they're smoking the marijuana, they don't want anything that's bad for them in their system, so they push out the tobacco.
You feel like
I
it's a
don't know.
waste?
I don't understand the premise.
You feel like it's a waste of tobacco?
Yeah, I just don't understand the benefit of it. Why don't you just, roll it in something else?
Chris is like Steve Martin in The Jerk. He hates these cans. Stay away from the cans.
It's getting to be a dated reference.
Okay.
If you go around the Zoom, I think like you and I don't even Stugotz has seen. Stugotz, have you seen The Jerk?
Yeah, I've seen The Jerk.
All right,
yeah.
so that's like 3 people. I think those are the only 3.
Yeah. Cody, you never
Cowards.
seen The Jerk?
I see Chris Whittingham right now.
Hey-o. Roy, you've seen The Jerk, right?
I have. I was born a poor black man. I've seen that.
Poor
Hot
black
Sorry.
child, yeah.
Poor black child. Yeah.
Billy, have you seen The Jerk?
I have. I don't remember, but I have seen it.
Really?
Wow,
But you don't
Yeah, I
remember?
can't quote you on lines.
You can't?
No.
It was a big weekend locally here, and a massive weekend locally since we last left on Thursday. A lot of things have happened here with the Dolphins, the Heat, and we lost a legend in Howard Schnellenberger.
Yeah,
So-
and don't forget the Panthers too, because
What happened?
what was a hopeful weekend for all of South Florida sports. Actually, a bit sad because Aaron Ekblad went down with a devastating injury, had to get stretchered off the ice. Looks like he's going to be out for the year. It's a knee injury. Do we have any details, Roy? Because Ekblad is massively important. He's an offensive-minded defenseman, but he's a great leader along that back line. The Panthers have improved their defense. Ekblad wasn't even 24 hours removed from having the walk-off game-winning goal in overtime against the Dallas Stars the previous night. And I saw that injury. I'm like, well, Cup dreams are dashed.
Well, the team hasn't released any information yet, but we can safe to assume that he's done for the year. It's just a matter of when he's going to end up returning. Is it going to be during training camp or is it going to be in November? And the road trip was terrible. I mean, they lost the first 3, but they swept Dallas in that series. Losing Aaron Ekblad, like the defensive core have scored 60 points so far this season. He had 22 of those points. So offensively, it was a massive blow for the Panthers from the blue line, let alone defensively and via leadership because he was one of the captains. It was just a bad night, real bad night. And the fact that they don't have Barkov, who was injured, they don't have Horncrest, who was injured, they got banged up through the entire road trip. It was a rough one, but they're coming back home, so hopefully there'll be a little bit of a respite.
Barky, Horny. Mike, I noticed you went with all the news that happened locally. You went to the Panthers. You're trying to avoid the Heat, who have lost 6 straight.
I know we'll talk about the Heat, but I think, honestly, we can really heavily concentrate all the episodes on today's show on local because it was massive. So I'm kind of getting the Panthers out of the way. I don't know who's available in the trade market. The NHL trade deadline is on April 12th. This is a massive injury because the Florida Panthers looked like they had a team that could honestly make a cup run. They're as good as anybody in their conference and look poised to make a Final Four run here in the NHL, and it's a dude, Ekblad is really, really good. It goes without saying. I know Roy pointed out the defensive trios. I think they're among the top 5 in the league in terms of points along that blue line, Roy.
Yes, the fourth. Yeah.
I just have no idea who might be available in the trade market that can replace an Eric Ekblad. He's one of the most important players on this team.
Well, luckily for the Panthers, they dressed 7 defensemen last night, so they didn't have really much of a problem filling that gap for that game. And they waived Anton Strawman a couple of days ago, so it looks like he might have to do a U-turn and get back to the team. They actually do have some defensive depth, so it's going to be interesting looking at the trade deadline whether they go a defensive forward or they get a scorer or something because it's a massive blow losing Ekblad, and hopefully Barkov and Horncrest comes back soon.
Do you know how good they actually are, though? Because if they're only playing the Central, there's no way to tell that they're actually going to be a good team.
Well, they've done well versus Tampa, and they've done well versus Carolina. I mean, they're very good teams in this division. But you're right. I mean, we haven't played the other division. There are no conferences, so we haven't played any of the divisions. So we don't really know. We're not going to know unless they get past the second round.
But it only really matters if you're good against your division because that's all you're playing until you get to what is essentially the conference final stage. So if you're good within the context of your own division, then you're on your way towards making a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're headed straight to the Final Four. But it is a good point. You don't have actual transitive property to match up. But the assumption is, being that you're housing 2 of the teams that made it to the Stanley Cup Final. Dallas made it to the Stanley Cup Final last year, and they've been bad this year within this division. But you know Tampa Bay is good because they're the reigning champs, and you know Carolina is good.
So it helps they have 2 teams that are very good inside that division that they're playing very often, right?
Yeah, they have measuring sticks. Nashville has been good over the years inside their own conference, and like I said, Dallas just made the cup run. So, and Chicago is always in the mix. They're not the dynastic team that they once were, but they were pushing for a playoff spot last year, and they still have some very recognizable names. So it's a good division, I guess, if you just carry over last year to this year, Billy.
Billy, why are you shitting on the Panthers parade right now?
I'm not shitting on their parade. I'm just saying, like, there's this expectation just because they've been good. Oh, they had a realistic chance of making the Stanley Cup Finals. It's like, I mean, maybe, but they're only playing one division. So do you really know how good they are? Every other team's only playing their division as well. So
It's a matter of hope, Billy. And this fan base has not had much of it throughout the franchise's run. So when you get into a good stretch like the Panthers had, you know, you start to get a little bit hopeful. And then all of a sudden your hopes are dashed at the end of the season. But it looks like they're going to make the playoffs this season. So we'll see what happens in the first round. We'll see what happens if the Panthers can rebound from this massive injury that they have with Ekblad.
Oh, it's certainly a playoff team, but last night was so deflating. I just don't see how they replace an Aaron Ekblad. He's just hugely important for them. He's one of the best defensemen in the league, especially when you just start differentiating pure defensemen from offensive-minded defensemen. I don't see how they replace him. Massive blow. I think this goes from it's still a certifiable playoff team, but I don't think it's a team that can make a cup run anymore.
And the Panthers managed to miss getting the injury bug this season as well, and it just it's just like a compound situation. It just stacked on stack and stack. It just rained on them in this road trip. Hopefully they bounce back.
I mean, you have any thoughts on Ekblad?
That name is really, really, really close to being something that could be very offensive, I think. Or kind of kinky, one or two.
What the hell's going on?
His first name is Aaron.
Yeah.
I have no
we
idea.
we got an Ekblad.
Stugotz has no idea why
We've got a
he's
straw
laughing
man.
I'm laughing to support a meme because I don't know if he knows what he's saying, but I'm trying to laugh to support my friend. That's what I'm doing.
Look at me. Look at me.
Yes, I'm looking at you.
It is a crutch that sometimes is very helpful.
Yes.
But sometimes you just don't need to laugh. I need you to reserve. Stop laughing.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a sad situation.
Because stupidity. Stop laughing.
Oh,
Look at me.
okay.
Stupidity sometimes can be a real tough listen with all the laughs.
Yeah.
Don't laugh unless it's funny to you.
Okay. But it is funny to me.
Is it?
What we're doing
Ekblad's
on
injury
Stupidity-
is?
Yeah. Well, Ekblad's
Well,
injury.
explain a means joke because I'm still trying to figure it out.
So am I, and we'll get back to it in a
But then
second.
You just admitted you didn't get a means joke.
I know, but I laughed anyway because that's what friends do for one another. They laugh even when the jokes that are coming out of their mouth are not funny, and I don't understand them. Okay?
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a helpful bridge to the next voice. We work in audio, and silence is very uncomfortable in the podcast game.
So I laugh until someone speaks, just so you know.
Right, but that's very problematic for stupidity because you're the host.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Stupidity seems to be, listen, I'm just saying
Biggest
it seems,
podcast in the world.
It's bigger than Oprah, and it seems to be doing very, very well. Perhaps you should stop complaining about it, okay?
I'm not. Look. I know that you put in a triple header last week. You're doing a lot of work, but there's one overriding piece of feedback on stupidity.
Laughter.
That is just too much laughter. As we
God
have our-
forbid I laugh. I mean, Jesus
No
Christ,
such
my
thing.
mom passed
That's
away
fun,
2 months ago.
Stugotz. No fun.
Right. I mean,
I guess that's my fault.
Listen,
since I did that clip.
let me apologize to everyone right now, okay? During a pandemic, 2 months removed from my mom passing away, I am sorry for laughing.
If I may, it wasn't an issue until Mike pointed it out and made it part of our show.
All right.
Right? Remember that episode where he played all the laughing just continuously?
Yes.
And then it became a thing. Before that, nobody really complained about the laughter.
Oh, no.
Stugotz, it's Mike's fault.
No,
Right.
I mean, how do you think I got the idea for the laugh track? Now, I was listening. I was like, man, he laughs a lot. And I started seeing some of the feedback on that, hellscape that is known as Reddit. And it's a complaint that we've seen sometimes. Now, there's obviously a use for it. I certainly appreciate the bridge. But when Stugotz doesn't have an ensemble around him, he just basically has Mikey A and the guest. It really accentuates the laughter, which is a good crutch to have on our show. But on Stupidity, it can be a bit much.
All right. I mean, what are you laughing at right now?
I'm laughing at the idea that Mikey A and the guests are just hostages. They just have to listen to you laugh the whole time.
That's it. That's exactly right. I hold them hostage, and my weapon is laughter. I can't believe I'm being criticized for laughing, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm really hurt. You hurt me this morning.
I'm just trying to make everybody better. I'm sorry.
I know, but laughter makes things better. It makes
It
me
does.
feel better.
You know what? Do what you want to do.
Okay.
I'm not. You're a fully formed adult, and there's no changing. Just maybe keep a governor out for it because it is a bit of. We can learn to get better. I have my verbal tics that I learned that I have through perusing again that charred hellscape that is Reddit. There. Sometimes it could be helpful. And sometimes there's just no positivity whatsoever, no silver linings that you can take from a criticism. It's just overly mean. But it's
so
decent
not everything
feedback.
that comes out of Tom Haberstrow's mouth is funny?
Precisely.
Got it.
Yeah.
Mike, can you go around the room and tell us what Reddit has noticed about all of us?
Oh, geez. I never go on
No,
Reddit.
Don't.
No, that's like overly mean.
He's so mean.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Why?
do that. I'm
No,
not
but
gonna do
I think it's a good idea. I would like Mike to inform us via Reddit what are the meanest things being said about us because I never go on that thing.
I'm not doing that. I'm not going to say, Billy, you say button this way. I'm not going to go piece by piece on Roy being super negative and witty, just being way too smart to the point that it's unctuous, or Chris just being fat. I'm not going to go person by person, line by line, and just point out some of their faults. There's no good in that.
Surely they all love and cherish Ryan Cortez, though, right?
Oh my
He's
God.
just been a breath of fresh air for them.
Sure, they love him. He's a real hit in the Reddit room.
I really appreciate having Ryan Cortez. By comparison, I look sane.
I've been blocking some of them on Twitter. They could go to hell. Here's a bunch of free content, and then here, all we're going to do is complain about you. How about you at me, and I'll block you.
That's exactly right. Cortez, I love you. That is exactly right. I mean, we're busting our asses around here, and all they do is complain about it. The way we distribute it, we've lost our way. We're not doing the show the way we used to. I mean, we're on a pirate ship. Leave us alone.
Thank you for listening, listeners, and supporting the show. Please keep doing that.
How about you pay for it?
I forgot. I'm not
What?
supposed to laugh.
Ryan, how many burner accounts do you have?
I don't need Burner's account. I'll just block them on my main account.
Yeah?
I don't need a fake account. Why do you assume I need a fake account?
Are you answering my question honestly, though? Do you have a burner account? Look at this
No, I
smile.
don't have
there
a
was a
burner
smile. I don't believe
He just
you.
smirked.
Yeah,
I don't
you
think
have a
he,
burner.
I don't think
How
he
many?
has one because he doesn't seem to care about the criticism.
No, he has a burner.
Are you accusing me of writing stuff on the Reddit under a burner? You think I give a shit?
I didn't even say the Reddit. Oh my God, you're on the Reddit with a burner account.
You exposed yourself.
That's the one person that says, Ryan made a lot of good points the other day.
What a great addition to the show Ryan Cortez is.
Parakeet Army.
We need more heat talk.
The show's been okay as of late. We could really use more Ryan.
I wish I did that when I was younger.
Have burner accounts?
Yes.
I know Stugotz doesn't have burner accounts because he has no idea how to make burner accounts, but if he did, he'd totally have them.
I made this one account at Stugotz790. I've never changed it. I don't know how to change it. I'm never going to change it. And at this point in my life and my career, all I'm doing is retweeting compliments.
Does your bio still say we're on ESPNU?
Yep, it does. Yes.
Co-host 10 to 1 with Dan Lebatard on ESPN Radio, ESPNU, and a wordsmith.
Yeah. And the Pinocchio knows.
Yeah, the Pinocchio knows, which I did for you, which you have no idea how to get down.
Wait, Billy, have you changed your bio? Like, when's the last time you've changed your bio on your Twitter? Do you update it? I never do that. Right.
I rarely do, but I put that I'm the 6th ranked NFL analyst in the world last week.
The Duke! Yes! He dropped the dookie. I'm going to go to you often today because there's NFL news to discuss, and we have an NFL expert.
This is never going to make it to football season, Stugotz, if we keep it up at this pace.
No, I think it is. Wait, I want to go around the room here. Bill, it's going to live forever. Chris, do you ever change your Twitter account? Do you update it? Like, have you updated it since we left ESPN?
Yes.
You have. And what does it say now?
Just says the link. I just took off ESPN. Well, I changed my handle.
Right. All right. I mean, I left ESPN. I mean,
People do it. Like, you're like looking for an ally here. Like, I think people regularly just make
I
little
don't think
changes.
people update their bio.
I don't think they
Just
do,
a little
Chris.
change here and there.
No, I don't. I think once you've worked at the mothership, you keep that thing on your bio no matter what, right? I mean, that's what I do. I want people to still think I work there.
You know what I can't stand? When people put in their bio where they've been before.
Right.
Or where their work has been featured. Nobody cares.
Take that shit over.
Previously, this, and that.
Yeah, take that shit over to LinkedIn. We don't need that.
You guys want to discuss the Heat here and what they did? Would you rather discuss the 6 straight losses, or would you rather discuss the additions Pat Riley made on Friday?
Well, the 6 straight losses is I find it hilarious, and also it hurts. Thank God the Panthers did what they did in Dallas. Papa hadn't had some Papa Johns in quite some time. Thank you. Cats win. It's really funny that the Heat were the hottest team in the league, and you knew that they couldn't keep that pace up, but they immediately fall back to earth, like right away. The shooting is obviously problematic. There's hope with these acquisitions. I think Victor Oladipo he's finally here. He's wanted to be here badly. I think that addresses some of the perimeter defense, point of attack stuff that we were hoping Avery Bradley would be. I think the real thing is they didn't give up anything. Who's going to miss Mo Harkless? Kelly Olynyk actually lived up to the contract that he got when you compare it to other people, but no one's really going to miss Kelly Olynyk, I don't think. We saw he could be he was a matchup-dependent player, so I'm excited for the changes. I'm just bummed that we're not going to get to see him immediately. We're going to have Bielitsa tonight against the Knicks, who beat Milwaukee, even though I think everybody from Milwaukee was out. But Oladipo is out with a head cold right now, so he's still in Miami, so a little tempered enthusiasm. I'm not saying it's panic time down here, but 6 straight is certainly concerning, and I know that they haven't had Goran Dragic out there and Jimmy Butler's missed some of the games, but what happened against Charlotte and being down 30, them playing you out of the building? I know the Heat made a late run, made it interesting, but I should be a little concerned here, right?
I mean, yes and no. I think, again, this goes back to the thing we've been talking about all year long is that Goran's not healthy, and they need that guy. They need someone who can fill that role of playmaker and floor general out there, so it's not either Jimmy doing everything or Tyler Hero trying to be one shining moment, which, I mean, at some point you guys got to get tired of this, right? Like, are you guys still optimistic and like, no, he's just finding his way and all that? Because it's just, it seems worse every day.
I'm confused by Tyler Hero, not just because he's gotten worse. I think there's explanations. It's been herky-jerky with all the NBA protocol, but what I don't get about Tyler Hero is it doesn't seem to matter if there's a defender in front of him or not. He's going to miss the same clip of shots, whether it's wide open or there's a defender in his face. And on the other side of the coin is he'll occasionally make some crazy shots with the defender draped all over him. Just the wide open misses, because this team has generated a bunch of wide open looks. I've been really disappointed to see all the wide open misses, especially from Tyler Hero.
Mike, we're all distracted here, everyone in the Zoom. The reason is Amin keeps getting up. He leaves. You're doing a great job of filibustering. You really are, until Amin gets back. But you have gotten up twice now. One time you came back with a new shirt, and the second time you came back with a suit jacket on. Like, is this how you have to dress when you start talking basketball? Like, what are you doing?
Well, friends, sometimes you get a little lost. You forget who you are.
Well,
like Tyler Hero, young Tyler Hero. So much promise, so much conviction, and yet just wayward, running around, taking the shots that he thinks are the good shots.
Preach on, brother.
Trying to be a hero, and rather than that, finding a way to not have faith, not believe in the system. A system that was created for equality, and equality of offense.
Hallelujah.
But I think starting tonight, you'll see a change that'll bring about hope for the entire Heat Nation.
Are you,
yes.
Are you using a prop mic?
I'm allowed to laugh there.
You're wiping your brow right now. You're wiping your brow.
Michael.
I mean, he's using a handkerchief for his forehead. Wipe off the sweat.
Billy is crying in his window right now.
It's such great commitment to something no one can see.
We're pushing the social.
Continue. I'm sorry.
I want to talk about the power of belief.
Yeah.
The power of Bielitsa, if you will.
Again.
Because tonight, the Heat add another playmaker on the floor, someone who can alleviate the pressure.
Go ahead now.
With some ball handling, some dribbling, and, of course, the most important pillar of faith.
What's that,
in the Heat, shooting. Now, some folks across the aisle are going to say Bielitsa's not that great of a shooter. He's only shooting less than 30% from three this year. I say unto thee, look back before you look forward. To 2019, 2020, when he shot 42% from three. To 2018, 2019, 40% from three. To 2017, 2018, when he shot 41.5%.
Yeah.
Now, Mitch McConnell might want to disagree with that.
Okay, this is Barack Obama.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, whatever.
It's my preacher voice.
The first couple minutes sound different than the last couple minutes. You shifted to Obama.
No, this is the preacher voice.
They
it's
don't
like
get it. They don't get it.
Maybe you need some water.
It's over their head of me, and I'm with you.
Maybe you need some water.
Lilting. It's almost like a song. It's soaring. That's
right.
That's the preacher voice. You guys, I don't. You guys. Now you throw me off. I can't do this anymore.
No, continue, please. Is that mic plugged in?
This one right here. No. It is, in fact, a prop mic.
Wait, don't you need a punchline of like, can I get an Amin?
Yeah, finish up.
That's
Finish
how
up.
we
Yeah,
finish
so you're
up.
gonna
That's
close
how you
that
bring
out,
it
yeah.
home.
Yeah, we got to finish it up.
So I say unto thee, have faith and have Bielitsa in the Heat offense.
Yeah.
Can I get an Amin?
Amin.
I said, can I get an Amin?
Amin.
Oh, God bless you all.
Having
Bless you. Bless you all.
Oh, Riley be with you. Yeah. Having Bielitsa is a bit of a stretch there, I mean.
Stretch 4.
Oh, well done.
I was talking to some Heat fans this weekend, on Thursday specifically, when they lost to Portland. And they were telling me that Tyler and Duncan were intentionally playing bad to not get traded at the deadline.
Not a bad point.
I mean, Tyler had a decent game as soon as the deadline passed.
It wasn't just a decent game. Tyler's best game of the whole season was against Charlotte.
It's
He looked
not
entirely
a
different.
bad point, though.
It's not. I mean, and look, let's be real. They shouldn't have lost to Portland. That was a BS call at the end there.
Or Charlotte, for that matter. I don't think the Heat should ever lose, if you ask me.
Nah.
Oh, for crying out loud.
We regret asking you. They were down 30 to Charlotte. I'd say they had business losing to Charlotte.
They were down 2 at another point. I would say they didn't have business.
Yeah.
Look, Tyler's
Okay, so
21.
why is he
down
focusing on the
business.
down 30 business?
At what
Bad
point were they
business,
down
bad
2?
business.
Like, when were they down? Was it 2-0?
They were never
They
down
were
2.
down 2 at
Well,
one
I think, I guess at 2-0. It might have opened 3-0. So I'm not sure there was ever a point in this game where they were down 2-0.
Now that you mention it, technically at one point it was 0-0. So there was a time where there was no deficit whatsoever.
They were right in the
It was
game.
equal value.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's quite the technicality.
I've never seen a better performance in Malik Monk for a quarter and a half. My God.
I have. The last time Malik Monk played the Miami
Yeah,
Heat.
the game where he hit the game winner.
Yeah, but like every 30 or so games, Malik Monk will give you a quarter and a half, which suggests that he is the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
It just so happens that every 30 games or so they play the Miami Heat. He's absolutely a random scrub Heat killer.
I mean, what do these deals do? Amin Al Hassan in with us. What do these deals do for the Heat in terms of where they can go? They're the 8th seed right now, so they've lost 6 straight. They're not playing well. But Oladipo and Bjelica, the stretch 4. What does that do for this team?
Well, I think, first of all, it gives you more playmaking on the floor, right? Bielitsa, I was kind of being silly, but the guy is like a big point forward. He brings the ball up, he can make plays, and he's a really good shooter this year notwithstanding. So we know that the Heat last year, one of the big things that let them flourish was being one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league, both in volume and also efficiency. And that hasn't been the case this year, and that's not a coincidence that they've been bottom third in the league offensively. Oladipo that one's tricky, man, because that one's a bet on he's better than what he's looked. That being here and being with this training staff will get him physically in a place where he hasn't been, and also enough time has passed since his injury. If he does go back to kind of the form that we remember, maybe not exactly, but close enough, well, now you got another guy who can attack off the dribble, who can cut, who can shoot, who can do a lot of different things, and then also on the other side of the ball, still defend at a high level. I'm not as kind of optimistic as that one. I'm more wait and see because he's looking really, really bad in the 30 or so games that we've seen him here for Houston. So, but again, given what they gave up guys that were not really contributing to success this year, and a pick swap that's going to be okay from like 20 to 25 or whatever it's going to be in the year 2022. It's a worthwhile risk. It's like that's a good bet to make.
We have confirmed earlier reports there was no point that the Heat were ever down 2-0 to the Charlotte Hornets. The game opened 3-0 Charlotte.
They did trail 7-5 though, so
right in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Billy.
Game.
Oh, wow.
They were in it early, Mike. Mike, were you excited about the it's a weird feeling because you're excited because Riley does what Riley does, which is he gets some good players. He doesn't give up a lot to get those players, but the team has lost 6 straight. They're reeling and they're flirting with not making the playoffs right now. There's a month to go, so
we didn't get to have the excited Oladipo show because that trade happened after the last time we pushed out some content here on the show. Yeah, I'm hugely excited for Oladipo. This is really the only way we can make it work for both parties because Oladipo has desperately wanted to be in Miami for years now. This is an agent trade. We covered some of this on the trade deadline special of Stupidity that you put out on Friday, Stugotz, in which meantime Habistro and myself joined. Make sure to check that out. Subscribe, rate, review, Stupidity.
That Habistro is a hoots.
I'm excited about the additions, but I can't help but be a little deflated because of what's happened since. I know Portland's a very good team, and we had Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic out, but the Miami Heat led by 10 late in that fourth quarter. That was a rough call at the end to get. Go against your way, and then the Charlotte game is just like you don't even have a chance when you're down 30. I make it interesting. Also, what are we doing? Did anybody catch the end of that game? Why is Spoelstra wasting 20 seconds and then fouling? I don't understand the point of this. Too many NBA teams do this. I'm not sure what they have in their analytics, but don't you want to extend the game as long as you possibly can? Far too often in these final possessions, teams are waiting around trying to steal the ball for 20 seconds and then just inevitably foul. If you can't get the ball out in the first 5 seconds, foul immediately. The Miami Heat might have won that game if Spoelstra just made the team foul.
Are you questioning Spo right now?
I think if there's one thing that you could hold against Eric Spoelstra, who I hold in very high regard, one of the top 3 coaches in the NBA, I think late game execution, from final play draw ups to the example that I just cited with their inability to foul and their late game execution. Granted, he had some very dumb players here. I'll just come out and say it. Like Josh Richardson was a nightmare in terms of late game execution, and Hassan Whiteside was a nightmare when it came to late game execution. But
early game execution too.
Yeah, he was just a nightmare.
Mid game execution,
every facet of the game. But
pre-game,
there is something
life
to
execution.
I do think that there is
post-game.
There is merit to picking apart some of the late game stuff that Eric Spoelstra does. Wasn't it you during the NBA Finals that said game to game adjustments? Eric Spoelstra is amongst the tops in the league, but in game adjustments not really his forte.
That's the knock on him. The knock is that, I've talked to players that played for Spo and respect him and love him. They say, look, you give him that day off in between, they're going to make a bunch of adjustments. But in the game, as things are happening, Spo tends to stick to whatever the game plan was and is not as open to making adjustments, which, you could criticize that, but you could also say, well, that's a hell of a lot better than Bud, who just thinks, who makes season-to-season adjustments, right? He doesn't really change much.
But that's part of the job. In-game adjustments is part. Thinking on the fly is part of what goes into being a great coach. You don't have the ability to do that or have the assistant to tell you what to do. Then I question what kind of coach you are.
I don't think it doesn't have the ability. I think because there's an opposite end of the spectrum where you make adjustments too much. You're adjusting the things that, like a fluke on the other side or just a hot streak or whatever, you're going away from something that was actually a pretty good game plan to something that's a less of a good game plan because you're reacting to every little thing that happens. So I think there's a value in sometimes not panicking and trying to make changes immediately. But obviously sometimes that can bite you in the ass if you're just too dogged in saying, no, we're going to do it the way we planned on doing it.
Is he a top 3 coach in the NBA, or is Mike just being a Heat homer?
No, he is. He is. I would say Pop is 1. I would say
Tom Thibodeau.
It is remarkable. It is remarkable that in a COVID season, which there's been all sorts of protocol that has affected teams, the Miami Heat and Heat culture seem to burn up all the capital from making the NBA Finals just 6 months ago. I've never seen anything like it. You have people throwing dirt on their graves as if they didn't just make it to the finals and eliminate a lot of these fan bases that are just nitpicking and picking apart their bona fides. You have a shining example of Heat culture and Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler as to how good they all are. And it's how tried and true every single one of those things is just 6 months ago, and we've already forgotten.
I don't like when people do that with the whole we just proved it. Look, every season is its own season. And it's not like, going into college with AP credit. Ooh, but I did really well. Nobody cares, man. Players have changed teams, and teams have gone from not so good to elite, if you look at like Philly and Brooklyn. So the landscape is different. That's not to say that the Heat are trash or whatever, but it is to say that it doesn't matter what they did last year in terms of what they're doing this year. The reality is Miami hasn't been healthy. If you look at all the best teams in the league, they've had a certain amount of health go their way. And the only team I could say that has been successful and not had that health been in their favor has been Brooklyn. And that's because they have 3 superstars, so they can afford not to be healthy. But Miami hasn't been healthy, and that's why they are where they are in the standings. And the moment they get healthy, I would feel confident, much in the same way the Lakers, who have been struggling without AD and LeBron, when those 2 guys come back, like, it's going to be business as usual.
Before I ask you about the ceiling, we also have to cover some of the news and notes over the weekend, because it wasn't all the excitement that surrounded the Miami Heat on Thursday before the game started up was it's not just Oladipo, it's LaMarcus Aldridge and figuring out wherever he fits, and it's getting some of these other players on the team like Andre Drummond and Jiang, who was cut by Memphis. And so I'm wondering exactly where things went wrong for the Godfather, Pat Riley, and the Miami Heat, because they used to do so well in this buyout market. They got Joe Johnson. Even after the Chris Bosh blood clots, they were very famous for getting Chris Bosh over there. How much longer do you think I can do this thing where I feel as Amin puts on his sports?
We're all watching.
It's got a couple of seconds.
Well, because I'm looking for someone to help, and everyone's just like...
No, because we're all mesmerized by what it is that he's doing. And what he's doing is he's just getting up for the microphone. Mike can't see him, and so we feel...
No, I can see him getting up, and I'm looking for someone to help.
Looks like he's putting on a jacket.
No, but guys, he's getting up the second we direct a question at him, and then he gets up, he flees the scene, and then he comes back in a different outfit.
Well, he has to.
And it's right, exactly.
Put on a jacket.
And he's got the jacket, the shirt, and he's going to get the fake microphone that's not plugged in. Okay.
Now, LaMarcus Aldridge.
Uh-huh.
There was a time when a man's word meant something.
Mm-hmm.
You strived to be held to the veracity of your words.
Yeah.
And where things were earned, not given.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a little story about a man who gave his word to another man and then stabbed him in the back.
All right, now.
A holy meal set before thee in a faraway tropical land. Mm-hmm. And this man, he pretended to be a friend, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
This man, of course, is LaMarcus Aldridge.
What?
Pushing Pat Riley under the bus, saying he went to Brooklyn because they're closer to a championship. Because he wants the easy way out. Well, friends, colleagues, compatriots, I tell you that LaMarcus Aldridge is going to ruin the Nets offense.
Well,
that's right. Here's a man who close to 45% of his field goal attempts come from the mid-range. It's going to ruin the spacing for Kyrie, Harden, KD.
Preach on.
And defensively, he's a statue. He doesn't move. He's kind of like Lindsey Graham. He just sticks to his one thing, and he's going to not do anything different.
That sounds familiar there.
I say the Miami Heat dodged a bullet by not attracting this troglodyte, this truculent, terrible, another T word.
Hallelujah.
Trailblazer,
former Trailblazer. And dare I say it, the Brooklyn Nets, they won't even play him that much because they'll find he's unplayable. Now, Steve Nash doesn't want that. Steve Nash says he's going to play him 35 minutes a game. But I told my wife, Michelle, my children, Sash, Malia,
Oh, wow.
you can't trust a man like that. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Gosh, it's hot in this suit.
Notice with a hanky.
You don't have to put it on every time.
We're doing it for social, Stugotz.
Doing it for the ground.
Here's another T. Theater for the mind.
He needs a hard T sound now.
Theater of the mind. And I
Texas
got two birds with
Longhorn.
one stone.
Texas Longhorn.
Texas Truculent, troglodyte, Texas Longhorn Trailblazer.
But they got DeAndre Jordan, they got Blake Griffin, they got LaMarcus Aldridge. Like basically, when they made the deal for James Harden, they're like, well, who are their role players now? And they fit all these role players with guys that have all-star games on their resume. It is impressive.
No, it's not, Mike. It's not, because they filled their role players with players who don't fill the role they need. There's never been a moment where we said, you know what the Nets need? More offense. Yeah.
But I mean, we don't know what. No, but I mean, night to night, we don't know what they need. I mean, Durant sometimes is there,
Defense.
sometimes he's not. You know,
We know
what they need.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chris.
Night in, night out, they've needed defense, and they got DeAndre Jordan. But much like the other players, they're built on reputations of years past.
Yeah. They need defense. They need rebounding. They need interior presence. And quite frankly, I don't think they've addressed any of that, unless you're just saying, oh, we need bigs. Okay, they got bigs, but that's not necessarily good bigs. I mean, for my money, and by the way, Andre Drummond isn't an elite post defender either, or rim protector, but he's better than Blake Griffin or LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, I know Blake's played kind of well, but this is still a guy who's a fraction of what he once was. And what he once was never good defensively. And LaMarcus Aldridge is the same thing. This is a man who's in his 16th season, a man whose offense comes mainly from the mid-range. He's pulled it out the three-point range a little bit last couple of years, but not enough to be a reputation shooter, and famously a terrible defensive player. And so I keep going back to, well, this guy doesn't even help you offensively. At least Blake's a good passer. Well, what's this guy? The whole thing is just like Mike said, we're bartering off reputation. We're bartering off infographics where people say, ooh, 36 combined all-star. Yeah, but who? Like, again, we're talking about this year. We're not talking about 2009.
LaMarcus Aldridge went there to ring chase. It would seem that he held Miami's recent losing streak against them, and he wants to win an NBA title with Brooklyn. What do you make of the pull of the Brooklyn Nets? Because reputation-wise, these aren't very fun players to play with. James Harden likes to have his touches, and people just sort of stand around and watch him go. Kyrie Irving is mercurial. I didn't expect this with a first-year coach in Steve Nash that doesn't have a reputation. They're still drawing a lot of these buyouts in a way that I didn't necessarily expect.
Well, look, offensively, I think they've done a really good job. I think Harden isn't just dribbling and everyone's watching. I think there's a lot more motion, and he's a lot quicker to pass this season than he's been the last couple of years in Houston. So I think they've done a great job. They play a fun style. It's up-tempo. Players want to play that. I won't lie to you. I question whether, for LaMarcus Aldridge, do I want to go to Brooklyn, where it's a vet team and we get days off and we just get shots up on the off days and stuff like that, or do I want to go down to boot camp? It ain't for everybody.
Yeah,
I
Brooklyn's
think
easier at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, beyond them being one of the best teams, obviously, and winning and all that, I think there's also a level of, when you build a culture like Miami's, part of that culture is understanding this ain't for everybody. Some people just aren't going to acclimate to this, and I think, you could argue that LaMarcus Aldridge probably doesn't want to do all that body fat percentage, and defense bullshit that you guys do.
But if you're chasing rings, I mean, the teams to go to right now are the Brooklyn Nets, right, and the LA Lakers. That's it. You're not going to the Heat. Like, I know that's going to upset Heat fans, but that's not where you're going if you're chasing a ring right now.
But I think
you're right, Stugotz.
But I think Mike's question is, why is it Brooklyn above everyone else right now? Like, all these guys are going to one place. Like, not a one of them has gone to the Lakers.
But they are attracting a certain kind of guy that we were all kind of scratching our head is like, are these guys even a Heat culture fit? We did that even with James Harden. Are these guys culture fits? And we described heat culture versus counterculture, and it does seem as though Brooklyn has a culture. It's just kind of the opposite of what Miami's built on.
It's a lazy do whatever the hell you want culture that's going to result, if they're all healthy, into them winning an NBA championship. That's why guys are going there. They don't have to work hard, as Amin said, and they're in all likelihood, if those guys are healthy, they're going to win a title. So why come down here for a 20% chance, 10% chance of winning an NBA title when you go to Brooklyn, not do anything, be on a minutes restriction, show up whenever the hell you want, and probably win an NBA title at the end of the day?
See, Cortez said that he's got goosebumps after what I was talking about. I've got goosebumps after seeing Stugotz go full Stugotz. Like, take a morsel of what I said and just expand it out to they're lazy in Brooklyn.
I feel like that's exactly what you said. I mean,
Your words, Amin.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugotz podcast. It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Advance your auto only at Advance Auto Parts. Dan, he hasn't been a head coach at any level since 2014. The last time this show cared about him was when he shocked the world by shaving his eyebrows in 2010. But with a new contract to be the next head coach at the University of Indiana, Dan, make no mistake about it, Mike Woodson is back. Woody, Sister Jean, can't win the big one. Coach K, Celtics, collision course. Dan, you know what the K in Coach K stands for? It stands for Celtics. The K's. Dolphin moves. Love them. What do you think they mean by them? Vanderbilt pitcher Jack Leiter on fire. And I'm not talking about his pitching. Can't start a fire without a lighter, Dan. Jack Leiter, by name alone, is not only a guy I want on my pitching staff, but also someone I want to be my best friend. Mick Cronin's teams wear steel-toed work boots as their team shoe. If you lace them up against a Mick Cronin team, wear a helmet, because you just got yourself into a rock fight. Mick Cronin smiled because one of his players was bleeding. An extra session only means extra blood to Mick Cronin. Mick Cronin took a bath after the game, a blood bath. Empty arena games are perfect for Mick Cronin. He prefers if no one hears you scream. Smart to Marquette. I had no idea he was out at Texas. Quite the shocker. Where's Dan? Well, what happened there? Rick Pitino, Texas. Collision course. Rick Pitino to Texas. An adventure. 10,000 years in the making. Sister Jean didn't pray hard enough. Back to Jack Leiter for a second. What I'm saying is...
That's too far on Sister Jean.
What do you mean?
Just
Well, it's on Sister Jean. No. When they won the first two games, the headline was Sister Jean prays before the game, and Loyola Chicago goes on to win. When they lose, no one blames Sister Jean. They blame those kids. And so I'm going to blame her. She didn't pray hard enough. No, the kids get none of the credit. They get all the blame, okay?
You got to take it easy. I saw Sister Gina's on Cameo.
Yeah.
And one of the fans of our show requested she do a stupidity read, calling it the #1 podcast on the planet.
Yeah.
She declined the request.
Really?
Wow.
She didn't pray hard enough. And you want me to be nicer? She declined my request?
Well, you didn't make the request. A fan was making
Perhaps
it.
I did. Burner cameo account.
I'm pretty sure
I
it
mean,
was steak
who are
sauce.
you to judge people for not doing cameos?
You're right. There's 40 some odd I didn't do. Thanks, Bill. Always there for me. Back to Jack Leiter for a second. What I'm saying is, even if he wasn't any good at pitching, I'd still want him on my staff because he has a cool name. Just wanted to be clear. The problem with college basketball is the sport's biggest star is a 102-year-old lady.
Stugotz, can you get the notes away from your camera?
No?
So we can push into social. You're blocking the camera view with
Oh,
your
I'm
weekend
sorry.
observations.
I'm very sorry about that. The other problem is 24-16 at the half. Jack Leiter would be a cool name for a character in an action movie. Keanu Reeves is back as Jack Leiter. Sister Jean, do it in a big game. Death, Taxes, and James Dolan acting like James Dolan. Doc Rivers said the Lakers and the Clippers are still the two best teams in the West. Some advice, Doc. Worry about the East. Norman Powell paying instant dividends. Rick Carlisle was wowed by Zion. I'm wowed by what a bust he is. Carlisle said he's Shaq with point guard skills. Rick, you might be right, but here's the difference. The hand Shaq dribbles with has 4 rings on it. The hand Zion dribbles with has none. It doesn't have a Final Four. It doesn't have a winning record. It doesn't have a playoff appearance. It has nothing. And it's a bit chubby. What happened there? Mike, you put that in there? By the way, Shaq, that hand should have more than 4. You know what the S in Shaq stands for, Dan? It stands for should have more. Gonzaga, off to the quietest 29-0 start in NCAA history. The Orlando Magic have made their team disappear. U.S. men's soccer failed to qualify for the Olympics for the 3rd straight time. Soccer, dead as a doornail, flatlined when Mike failed to book Beckham. Jazz and Suns are the 2 best teams of the West, and I haven't heard a single person say they are coming out of the West. Allow me to be the first. The Jazz are winning the West. The Suns are not, because they have Chris Paul. Alvin Kamara said a 17-game season is dumb. Alvin, I know dumb. I lead the league in dumb. This, not dumb. NFL players, the problem is you always complain after the fact. Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, so we're clear. Your seasons are over. Nothing else counts. They've already been registered in my personal record book. Deshaun Jackson said he had other options, but he wanted to play in Sean McVay's offense. God, that's going to look awesome for the 3 games Deshaun plays this season. John Mara thinks Daniel Jones looks like a Super Bowl winning quarterback if he only played like one. Danny Dimes, Death, Taxes, and Lewis Hamilton. Patino at a program referred to as the Longhorns makes sense. You know, horns, the devil, hell, or Bryles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
This show ain't free. Time for some ads.
Hey, let's take a minute for our friends over at Advance Auto Parts. They are our friends. They support us. We ask you that you support them. Guys, listen up. There is absolutely no way we'd be able to continue doing the podcast the way we've been doing it if not for the support from our friends over at Advance Auto Parts. All me and Dan Everest. That's it. Support the people that support this show. And Advance Auto Parts has been doing that for many, many years. Look, I rely on Advance to keep my car going, and with options like buy online, pick up in-store, and curbside pickup, they make it really easy to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. So, head to Advance Auto Parts, where you can get the parts you need to keep moving. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations.
Anybody have experience laying down new sod in a backyard? Not physically laying it down, like just doing it and like evaluating like the process of it. Like that was my backyard, just full of weeds. Now it's grass, and I'm just like the guy said it takes like 3 weeks for it to like, because right now it's starting to look a little dead in areas, and I'm just like watering it like crazy. I'm just freaking out because I spent a lot of money on it, so now I'm just like freaking out.
We have no grass on the side of the yard, and it doesn't help that there's a tree that's blocking the sun, so it's not getting any light.
Light's important, Roy.
Thank you, Chris.
You know what's also important?
What's that,
Water.
Chris?
Water.
Yes, water.
You know what's also important? Love.
I am
love.
giving it, and I'm giving it love and
You
attention.
talk to it? Do you talk
I
to
do.
it?
I'm like, how you doing?
You know how many blades of grass that he has to talk to?
I talk to every
Each one
single one
individually.
of them.
Use a megaphone on that, I guess.
How are you doing today, baby? Sweet talk it.
People say that, but like, do you ever stop to think, how do we know plants speak English? What if it speaks German? Or what if you speak German and it doesn't, and it just sounds like you're angry all the time?
My mother-in-law speaks German. Maybe I should have her come over and.
Yeah, just yell at your grass. I love you in German, but it sounds like
Not all Germans sound like Arnold to me.
Sounds like Arnold.
Arnold isn't even German.
He's from Brussels.
No, that's he's from
JCVD.
Austria.
JCVD, some muscles
Van Damme
from
is from
Oh,
Brussels.
he's from, okay, he's from Brussels.
Chris, what kind of grass? What kind of grass do you have?
I mean, grass.
Just the
Florida
normal
grass.
kind.
There are types of grass. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, there's regular grass, and then there's things that are more exotic.
sativa,
Oh, you were just trying to go for the joke.
Maui Wowie. I mean,
That's what I thought. Stugotz when Mike was talking about. This guy is also a weed guy. I was like, oh, really?
the purple yum yum, the chocolate chip cookies. Oh, my favorite. They come in very colorful bags now. I don't know if the last time you brought grass, I can't speak.
You can call it gas.
Bought
You can call it
grass.
Stugotz,
On that
are you
Keep it all
are
in.
you an edible guy?
No, I don't like
Very
the edibles.
clearly from the last 5 seconds.
I don't like the edibles at all. I had an experience with an edible at a restaurant in New York City where the chef of the restaurant, gave me a chocolate chip cookie. He told me to eat a quarter of it. I ate a quarter of it. He said, you're going to have to wait 90 minutes. And I'm very impatient. And so 90 minutes went by. I wasn't feeling anything. And so I ate another half. And then an hour later, I started to feel everything. And I was curled up. I had to leave the restaurant because I was drooling. I was sitting in the back. I couldn't talk to anyone. I was mush. And my wife took me back to the apartment we were staying at. And I was curled up in the fetal position for the entire time. And so that's the last time I've ever taken an edible. I do not like them. No.
I took an edible on election night. By accident, though. I was bar hopping in New York.
Yeah.
On election day. I started at like 1 o'clock, and by like 9 o'clock, we still didn't have an answer. And I was kind of just, looking for the next place to go. And my cousin hands me, he says, "Here, have some of this." And I didn't even think twice. I just grabbed it and I just ate the whole thing. It was a gummy. And he's like, "No, not the whole thing." I said, "What I eat?" It was like, "It's an edible." I'm like, "Oh," but I forgot about it pretty quickly. So we go to the next place, and we're sitting down, and the drink comes out, and I take one sip, and all of a sudden, everything hit me. And I said, "Am I that drunk? Like, there's no way I'm that. I've been drinking since 1 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. But somehow I felt something was off. Like, I can't be this drunk." So I look at my cousin and said, "Have I had a lot to drink tonight?" He says, "No, but you did eat that edible." And I said, "Oh, no." And the world just literally started melting in front of me like a painting where someone just thrown water on it. It was just dripping. And so I said, I got to get out of here because I'm not going to be carried out as the guy who couldn't hold his liquor. That's embarrassing, right? It's the edible that's doing this. So I got up and I tried to walk out coolly, but instead, first of all, I turned to my cousin. I whispered in his ear, "I got to go back to my hotel. I'm not feeling well." Walk out, and I try to walk coolly, but instead I just kept banging against the bar, like the whole time, like a bumper car, right? I get outside, I walk up to the corner, I throw up right there, right in the middle of the street, cross the street, walk into my hotel, get up the elevator, walk into my room, throw up there. Then I go to sleep, and I wake up at like 3 in the morning. No, it's like 4 in the morning. I have no shirt on, but my shoes are still on, and I have no idea where I am. And I look at my phone, and there's 112 missed calls.
Oh my God!
What?
And so
It's a bit above average.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I call. It's my cousin. So I call, and he says, "Where the hell are you? Where?" He's like panicking. I said, "Man, I got up because I wasn't feeling well. I told you I was going back to the hotel." He said, "No, you didn't. You said, no." Walked out. He said, "I thought you were going out for a breath of fresh air." And I realized, wait a second, who won the election? I'm literally looking around like, I have no idea. Maybe Trump won. Maybe Biden won. And so I'm afraid to check my phone because 4 years earlier I slept on a red-eye flight, and when I woke up, like I was like, let me see, maybe Hillary made this great comeback. Like, nope, President-elect Trump. I was like, shit. So I was like, I'm not going to go through this again. So I decided to just avoid for the entire day, just avoid the news, avoid Twitter, and it wasn't until I think someone said, "Oh, it's kind of crazy. They still haven't figured it out." Like, what? We don't have a president yet? Good times.
I was going to say, if you woke up and you had an answer as to who won, then this lasted over a week for me, and this wasn't just one bad night.
It's a hell of an edible. What would it sound like if Barack Obama took an edible?
He's kind of like me, I guess.
Well,
that's all you got?
That'd be a fun person to get high with, huh?
Barack Obama?
Yeah. Stugotz, pass the kush.
Puff, puff, give.
I like a little King Louis. It's smooth. Satisfying. Now, Governor Bacano.
He
doesn't want you to get high.
It's okay. Keep going. Keep going.
He prefers the powder. A little nose candy. A little pure Bolivian.
Booger sugar.
Booger sugar.
Some nasal
Sweet
basil.
sassy molasses.
Some nasal basil.
Let's get all the cocaine nicknames out there, please.
Toot. some sneeze. Now Michelle likes to call it grit. Sometimes gravel. A little flake. A little dust. These are terrible.
We emptied the clip on the funny nicknames.
I like where you're headed, though, with what Michelle likes to refer to.
That Trump speech was an SNL skit. Did anyone watch that?
I
don't want to get into the
saw
politics of it. He does a 2.5-minute speech, and you're thinking he's at this like banquet because he's like pointing out like, yeah, you would have run the corona, you would have handled corona like I did. And then 2 minutes in, he's like, the happy couple here. It's just like he was doing a wedding speech. He did 2 minutes on just like Biden, and just like you thought he was doing just a regular banquet. And then after 2 minutes, he's like, by the way, you guys are a great couple. You're going to have a happy life together. It's like, oh my God, this was a wedding?
For the toast, he's like, miss me.
Mention.
Yeah. The toast was miss me yet. It's a guy that has sorely been missing a microphone over the last few months. Like, what a great idea to take Twitter away from that gentleman. It is absolutely killing him. He just wandered into a wedding reception
Nothing
at
is killing him
Mar-a-Lago.
more than
oh, my God.
yes.
He hates it.
Yes.
He puts out these press releases from the desk of the 45th president thinking that it matters. And dude is like so severely missing that outlet.
I've got the transcript, and it says, I turned off the news. I get all these flash reports, and they're telling me about the border. They're telling me about China. They're telling me about Iran. How are we doing with Iran? How'd you like that? Crowd boos. And I'm just thinking, like, this is someone's wedding. That's what they wanted for their wedding? Like, most people want a DJ. Some people get a live band. These people got Donald Trump to bitch about, like...
Do you think that's one of the packages, like the premium alcohol package? Like, hey, just for $1,200 more, you can have the 45th president of the United States come here and complain for a little bit.
Tell you about Iraq.
Do you think it makes a DVD that the videographer sends out?
Yeah. You can have Pyro, or you can have 45 come here and get something off his chest, whatever you prefer.
Just the comedic timing of like him referencing the wedding, like 2.5 minutes into the speech, it was just so good.
Wait, you're at a wedding and not CPAC? What is this?
I mean, it's crazy. Like the first four paragraphs are about China, and then he starts talking about conditions in South America and humanitarian disasters.
He played all the hits. He hit every topic. You thought it was a political speech, and then at the very end, he's like, "By the way, y'all are be great together."
It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to have you at Mar-a-Lago. You're a great and a beautiful couple. The end.
That was it?
That was it. That was the only
line about
reference.
the couple?
I remember my first 4 of these. They were great. Be careful.
And it's at
Prenuptial
Mar-a-Lago.
agreement.
It's at Mar-a-Lago, so he owns the venue. So, like, maybe this was part of the package. Gold package.
Did you get Yayo in?
Yeah, yo. By the way, I can read this speech, Donald Trump's speech, in Obama's voice.
All right, go ahead.
Right. Boy, they were ready to make a deal. They would have done anything. They would have done anything. And this guy goes and drops sanctions, and he says, we'd love to negotiate now. And Iran says, we're not dealing with the United States at all. Oh, well, they don't want to deal with us. China, the same thing. They never treated us that way, right? You saw what happened a few days ago. It was terrible. And the border's not good. The border is the worst that anybody's ever seen it. What you see now, multiply it times 10, Jim.
He said Jim?
Jim? He just dropped a Jim in there.
He had a friend in the audience.
Jim is the groom, it would appear.
No, the groom is John.
Would it surprise you?
That
if we got
is
the name wrong,
perfect.
Shout out Jim.
Oh, that's great.
You would know how to handle it. He's the only one I know who would handle the border tougher than me. We have to. And the tough is in the most humanitarian way, because that's what it is. What's happening to the kids? They're living in squalor. They're living like nobody has ever seen anybody.
Such a Trump line.
Surprised you know squalor, quite honestly.
There's never been anything like. Hold on. This line doesn't make sense. There's never been anything like what's, and you're going to have hundreds, and you have it now. They have the airplane photos, the shocks, and they call them shocks. And these things, I can't read this.
And they call them. I love that.
When he thinks he may have just said something like, "Oh, they say that. I don't say that."
For me, that's more his device for when someone explained to him what shocks were, and he was so amazed by it. I'm going to tell everyone this is what shocks are.
They call them shots.
Like, this is the sentence. This is one sentence. I'm going to read it in a regular voice because I can't do it. What's happening to the kids? They're living in squalor. They are living like nobody has ever seen anybody. There's never been anything like what's. And you're going to have hundreds. And you have it now. They have the airplane photos, the shocks, and they call them shocks. And these things are showing thousands and thousands of people coming up from South America. And it's going to be, it's just, look, it's a disaster. That is one sentence.
No punctuation.
Yeah.
Good luck to the married couple.
Whatever the fuck your names are.
Jack.
Jim, Jack,
James.
doesn't matter. All right. I mean, how much of this can we use?
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, what are you comfortable with?
Okay, not the Sasha Malia.
We took that out already.
Yeah, but about your edible, are you cool with all that?
Yeah. I mean, it's a long story, so I don't know how much people want to hear that, but
No, people want to hear that.
Drug stories, I think people want to hear that.
Be just conservative. Well, not conservative.
Yeah,
liberal with your edit.
I'll probably take the bit where you say that people are going to abduct other people. As
you have been carried out of.
But
you've been carried out
That
of
was an
board.
important part of the story, though.
I wanted to ask, were you hallucinating that? Because that doesn't seem likely that.
No, that's real. That was a real thing. On election night, they were saying, like, if this shit doesn't go the way they want, that was a thing that was going to be happening. They were going to be roving gangs. In New York, because I put on Instagram, all the stores, everybody, like, boarded up all the buildings. They were getting ready for the apocalypse. They were getting ready for this election is going to make people go crazy. And it's New York City. It's not even like Atlanta or Houston or something like that. But everyone was terrified that there was going to be like this backlash.
Yeah, in some ways, the result taking 4 days to arrive kind of cooled the temperatures by the time the results
Smoothed
came.
it out, yeah. Like what happened at the Capitol building, we thought it was going to happen everywhere.
I mean, have you been the hammered guy carried out of the bar before?
No, I've never been carried out. I've never been carried out. No.
Chris?
I actually haven't. I know you go to me next there because I'm probably the most likely candidate. The most drunk I've been, honestly, was the PFBI Gala thing, like 4 or 5 years ago, where I had a brunch on a Sunday, got hammered with unlimited mimosas, and then ended up on my.
What happened to
bathroom
golf?
Floor. Golf
Wasn't there you got drunk at the golf tournament? You started heckling.
Well, no, I wasn't that drunk that day. I just one guy heard me yell VJ Sing, and then like it became a thing. Like I was running around the golf course just yelling VJ Sing the entire day, and so I just kind of ran with that. But it was really just it was just one. VJ Singh was the biggest star at that. The Honda Classic is just famously a bad field, and so I was just overly excited to see VJ Singh because I actually knew who he was.
That's a horrific field, by the way. If VJ Singh is your biggest star.
I'm telling you, it was like Justin Thomas and VJ Singh.
But you were heckling him the entire time.
Yep, I followed him the whole time.
I mean, so I want to hear about Mike Tyson. You say he's the greatest interviewer in media right now. I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't know Tyson was doing interviews. What happened there?
So he has a podcast called Hot Boxing, because he smokes weed and he also is a boxer, right?
Right.
Really witty. And so, but he interviews all types of people. He's interviewed, athletes and music stars, and he actually had Bruce Buffer on the other day. But for most of these people, some of these are like really intimidating people. But when they sit down, Mike Tyson can call them out on their shit, like in a way that no other person can, because who's gonna object? So he asks a question, and if your answer is bullshit, he's gonna call you out and say that's a bullshit answer, and he'll re-ask the question. And because it's Mike Tyson, you're terrified, so you just answer the question. Any other, like Oprah, who are the great interviewers, right, that we see in the world? Like none of them have anything on Mike because they don't have that intimidation factor, where you just feel the need to speak the truth. They had Boosie on, who's a rapper, and during the pandemic, he had a lot of these Instagram Live videos where he would just tell girls, like, show me your tits or other parts, right? And Mike was like, why do you do that? He says, well, it's just fun. I was like, no. There's some hurt going on there. And he just basically browbeats the guy into admitting like he had a rough childhood and had stuff done to him when he was a kid, and that's why it was coming out. And I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, any other interviewer, the guy would have just got up and walked out.
Right.
At least. Like, I'm not doing this. Unclip Mike, walk out.
But you can't do that, Tyson, right?
No. No.
Why are you doing that, Booty?
I thought he was talking about John Buccigross. Wait, but that's an interesting element where you're intimidated by the person who's interviewing you. Therefore, you feel inclined, A, not to get up, B, to tell the truth. And if you don't, he's just going to stare at you until you do. I mean, right?
But look, Stugotz, there was one where the guy was trying to, he was a boxer, a young boxer. And Mike was asking him why he wasn't, whatever. And the guy says, well, it's politics or whatever. And Mike lights up this huge J, takes a long pull, and tells this story about, like, him when he was a young boxer. And someone had said to him something along the lines of, yeah, that's why you'll never be a great. And so I broke his nose right there. And, like, the story had, like, a real violent end to it. So he takes another pull. He says, so I ask you again, why don't you think you're as great as you? And then the kid gives like, well, he starts giving like a real answer. And I'm just like, why? He just literally threatened the guy into getting this answer.
With a hit of weed and re-asking the question.
He just told a story about breaking some guy's nose and then goes back and asks the question again.
He doesn't settle until he gets the answer he wants. Essentially.
But it's a real answer. It's the funny thing is, like, he gets it's not like he's just searching for you to say the right thing. He's searching for you to give him an answer that's not bullshit.
So people will just start coming into whatever forum they're on the podcast with Tyson, and they'll just start telling the truth because he said, like, you can't lie. You can't lie to Mike Tyson. You can't do it. Funny.
But he had Bruce Buffer on, and Bruce Buffer, I don't know if you guys know this, he never knew Michael Buffer growing up. He didn't know that was his brother until he was like 30 years old.
Yeah.
He was Bruce Buffer said, like, he was just working in telemarketing or something, and Michael Buffer was coming on the scene, and people were saying, hey, are you related to that guy? And Bruce Buffer was like, no, I think it's just, like, it's a coincidence we have the same last name. But he said, every time I see him, I'm thinking there's something there. So he says, one day, he's in a car with his dad, he's on a road trip, and he says, hey, Dad, you hear about this Michael Buffer guy? Like, are we related? And his dad says, oh, yeah. I think he might be your brother. And it turns out like his dad had been married earlier when he was a young man. He went to war. He was in the army, got married, had this kid, and then when he came back from the war, divorced. The kid was like 2 years old, and then started a new family, obviously with Bruce's mother or whatever. And so they ended up like tracking him down, and they had dinner, and it's like, yeah, this guy's your brother. You're related. And now Bruce Buffer does the voice intro stuff too. I mean, the guy wasn't even in the industry until he figured out Michael Buffer was his brother.
It didn't really take him long. He's like, all right, you're my brother. I'm going to do exactly what you do.
Right, exactly. Wait, I'm doing this. You've had success saying one sentence. All right, I'm going to do that now.
Stugotz, what would be, if you found a long-lost sibling that you never knew about?
Oh, boy.
What would be the profession that you would literally drop everything you're doing now and start doing what he's doing?
Wow. That's a great question. I don't know if there's anything I'd rather be doing than this, but let me think for a second.
World-class golfer, and he needs a caddy.
I don't think...
This is your chance to get to Augusta.
No, I know, but I feel like I can get to Augusta regardless.
Okay.
Although I've never been.
It hasn't worked out for you yet.
I was going to say, you keep saying that, yet you've never been, but you're so confident in your ability to go there.
You feel better about your chances now, despite the fact that you no longer work with a Worldwide Later.
I feel better about my chances. Billy, I could just pay for them. That's why I say I could go there, but I refuse to for whatever reason.
So being a caddy for the top golfer in the world, isn't it?
I don't know if I'd rather be a caddy. If you're telling me I could be a professional golfer, then yes, a caddy to a golfer as opposed to doing this. I have to give all of this up, right?
Yeah, but the game is like to follow your brother around.
Right.
Follow in their footsteps, I guess.
Is he a good golfer?
I'm making him the top golfer in the world.
All right, I'd leave this to be the caddy for the top golfer in the world. I would imagine Tiger's caddy at the height, Steve Williams, at the height of Tiger being Tiger, was making seven figures, having the time of his life. So that's it. I would leave to be a caddy. That would be... Why are you making that face? I mean, a caddy's a nice job.
Seven figures, though? I don't know about that.
Why? You get 10% off the top, I think, of winnings. You get 10% of whatever the guy wins. So if Tiger won $10 million a year, which I assume that he did, then he's making $1 million plus whatever Tiger gives him.
To carry some bags around?
Yeah.
No, it's not just that, man. You're being so myopic. No, it's...
Tell him, Mike.
Yeah, it's beyond that. They come to you for advice.
Yes.
I mean, it's basically having a coach out there with you on the links. So that's why...
Tiger Woods. How much advice does he need?
That's true. But let's just make the top golfer in the world in desperate need of coaching.
Right. The guy who takes advice, the guy who wants your advice, the guy who says, hey, put down that 7-iron, use the 8-iron. Does that change everything?
When you're Tiger's caddy, you're always just getting blamed when your yardage is wrong. Like if he goes long on a hole, it's just like you look at the caddy. Well, you're 5-iron, huh? Well, you're fired. That's a Happy Gilmore.
It's Happy Gilmore, yeah.
Thank you.
Really hitting all the Adam Sandler references.
What would you leave this to do, Hamid? It's a tough question. I'm telling you. That's why I had to think about it. Like Mike came up with maybe the only scenario in which I would leave this to do something else, and it's to be a caddy.
If my long lost sibling,
right,
was in, I know. If my long lost sibling was, that's a good question, man. Like everything I think about, like I think I can do whatever, right? That's the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm with you, Stugotz. It's not
no, but you have to have an ancestor who's already made their way, okay? Made fame, made riches, made a fortune doing something they do. You have an easy path into it now, nepotism, okay? You have an easy path into the field that they have chosen. What is a field that you would rather be doing than the one you're in right now? Like, if you had an ancestor who owned an NBA team and made you the GM of that team, would that be it?
No.
No?
I wouldn't want to do
really?
that. No.
Wow.
It would have to be something that would allow me to also make a ridiculous amount of money very fast. So maybe Wall Street, like something somewhere I could go up and I'd still get paid, right?
Well, that's Wall Street. Yes.
Yeah.
So your dad, like, you have an ancestor who owns a hedge fund, and you would leave to go do that, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
What about porn?
I don't know if you want to follow in footsteps on that one.
Of someone who's already made it inborn. This episode of the Dan Lebatard Show with Stugotz is brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. I want to talk to you about Advance Auto Parts for just a minute. They're our friends. I mean that. When I say they are our friends, they're our friends. All me and Dan ever ask is for you guys to support the people that support this show, and Advance Auto Parts has been doing exactly that for many, many years. In fact, I will tell you, an audience, listen up. There is absolutely no way we'd be able to continue with the podcast the way we've been doing it if it were not for the support of our friends over at Advance Auto Parts. Have you heard about their advanced same-day offers? Pretty incredible. Get this. Advance offers free curbside pickup and free in-store pickup within 30 minutes on most in-stock products. That's the kind of speed that gets you back on the road with the parts you need fast. So head to your Advance Auto Parts today. I go there all the time. Why? They're my friends. They support me, so I support them. You need to do the same. They're supporting the show that you guys love. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
The Sweet 16 wrapped up in Indianapolis with Mick Cronin's UCLA hanging on for an 88-78 win against Alabama after Alex Reese hit a buzzer-beating shot to send the game to overtime. USC, Michigan, and Gonzaga also advanced to the Elite Eight. Also in college basketball, Indiana hired Mike Woodson to be their head coach, plucking him from the New York Knicks bench. It's a 6-year deal for Woodson to be the coach of the Hoosiers. The U.S. Under-23 squad lost to Honduras by 2-1, failing to qualify for the Olympics for a third straight cycle in men's soccer. David Ochoa with an absolute howler to give away the decisive goal to Luis Palma for Los Catrachos. And finally, the sloth is the only mammal that doesn't fart.
The great Chris Whittingham, polished as always. The sloth does not fart?
How about that?
That's very shocking.
Neither does my
Howler.
wife. Yeah, my wife doesn't fart either.
Your wife's never farted?
I mean, it's a thing.
What do you mean it's a thing?
Yeah, women are... now I may be in trouble by lumping in a group of people together. But, you know...
Attaboy, Chris.
I like to be very private about it.
Okay. I mean, my wife rips farts all the time.
Really?
Yes.
You're that comfortable.
We are that comfortable, yeah. 20 years in, you get that comfortable. It's odd. Yeah.
I let him rip, but...
Sometimes she does it under the covers and lets me just, marinate them. Yeah.
Dutch oven.
All right, let's update our NCAA tournament. Billy, are we updating the NIT or the NCAA tournament? I think we're waiting till the NCAA tournament. Mike told me that before we started because Dan will be back tomorrow to do that. So the NIT, Bill?
Yeah, we just had this conversation.
Yeah, we did.
Do you want to go all the way back to Thursday and do NIT quarterfinal, or you just want to do semis and final?
I want to do whatever Billy Gill wants to do.
You know what? I'm not a good decision maker. Are you guys good decision makers?
All right, I'll make the decision for you. Let's do the semifinals and the finals, okay?
Oh, okay. Wow, then we're going to miss out on Richmond, who was eliminated.
I take it back. Let's do the quarterfinals. Start with the quarterfinals of the NIT, okay?
All right. But the thing, though, is that if we do the quarterfinals and the semifinals become redundant, as does the final. You know what I mean? Because it's just the same ones over and over again. This is the dilemma.
How about we just play Richmond and move on? How about that?
Richmond wasn't that good. It was just an example. Why don't we do the semifinals?
Okay. All right. You want to do semifinals?
You know what we could do? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do this, Stugotz? Why don't we do the teams that were eliminated from the quarterfinal?
Right.
And then we could do the semifinal and then the final.
I like that idea. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that one. That's a good idea.
All right, guys. Well, important updates here to the NIT. The quarterfinals happened last Thursday, and we had 4 teams eliminated from the quarterfinals. Richmond lost to Mississippi State. Richmond was represented by who?
Kyle Shanahan looks like the 4th member of the Beastie Boys.
Mississippi State moved on, but we're not going to do them now. We'll catch up with them in the semifinals. Boise State also eliminated number 2 seed in the NIT. They lost to Memphis. Boise State is no longer part of the tournament. Who represented them?
Kelly Olynyk looks like the guy you meet on the 3rd day of the music festival.
I'm going to miss Kelly Olynyk. Yeah, I'm going to miss him. Yeah. Not really.
All right. Also eliminated, NC State lost to Colorado State. NC State no longer part of the NIT. They were represented by...
Ed Orgeron looks like the guy who will make a copy of your keys at Home Depot.
Moving on, Bill.
I miss when that was like a thing, the guy that made the keys at Home Depot. Yeah. I went there not too long ago. I had to make a copy, and now it's just like a machine. You put your own key in, you push the button, you choose the type of key that you like. Yeah.
You do it yourself?
No, there was a tech that was handling it. I made a bunch of copies for the keys here in the studio over the weekend.
Really?
Yeah,
there are, but sometimes they'll be like, you know what? There's machines over there, like dog tags. If you get a dog tag, now it's just like all computerized.
I always worry that guy who's making my key, who's copying my key, is making an extra key for himself. I just it's a worry I've had over the years.
It popped into my mind because I was just leaving him to his job. And I was like, wow, this guy could have made a bunch of copies to keys for himself.
You got to keep an eye. You stay right there. I mean, maybe you were doing a bunch, so you had to walk around. But, yeah, you can't leave that guy.
You ever get them to duplicate a key that says do not duplicate on it?
Yeah.
No.
I feel like that's the dilemma for the locksmith. Are they locksmiths? If they're just key makers? I feel like it's a dilemma for them, right? Do I make a copy because it says do not copy, but I can copy this?
This is like the same level of misdemeanor as ripping the tag off a mattress.
That's serious. Don't do that, guys.
It is. Yeah.
You don't want to do that. You guys remember back in the day when you'd walk into like a drugstore or like a Walgreens or like a Hallmark, and they had the like customized cards that you'd make at the machine that you'd type in like the greeting or whatever, and it'd print it out in front of you, and it was like a whole thing, and it'd write everything, and then it was pictures and draw the pictures. You guys remember that? No one remembers that. Okay, moving on. Number 4, Western Kentucky was eliminated from the NIT. They lost to Louisiana Tech. We'll get to them in a minute. But Western Kentucky was represented by...
Dick Vitale looks like a balloon salesman on Coney Island.
The Hilltoppers, yeah.
So that sets up the NIT semifinals that took place over the weekend, Stugotz. Very exciting. Number 4, Mississippi State took on number 4, Louisiana Tech. Number 1, Memphis took on number 1, Colorado State. A battle of 4s versus a battle of 1s, just the way the brackets fell this year. So number 4, Mississippi State beat number 4, Louisiana Tech. The team moving on, Mississippi State, is represented by...
Dan Orlovsky looks like he kisses his dog on the mouth.
I like to do a bit of reporting on this. I reached out to someone who might be familiar with the situation, and I said, is this something that actually happens? And the person said, I don't know if it does happen, but if it does happen, he definitely would then go wash his face and brush his teeth a lot. So take that for what it's worth, which is nothing. All right, that eliminated number 4, Louisiana Tech, who was represented by...
Mike Tomlin looks like your new trainer who, when you meet him at the gym for the first time, eyes you up and down and says, that's above my pay grade, and leaves.
I mean, it's the first time I've seen you laugh at any of these.
I've heard a lot of them, but that one's one of my favorites.
So that was a battle of 4s. Now Mississippi State's going to play for the NIT final and be the 69th best team in the country. So number 1, Memphis, beat number 1, Colorado State. Number 1, Memphis is represented by...
Dave Gettleman looks like he invites you over to check out the new deck.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to win it.
Eliminating number 1, Colorado State is represented by...
Tony Kornheiser looks like a grouchy pilgrim from the first Thanksgiving who complained about the turkey being too dry.
There we are, number 4 versus number 1. You guys want to know the loser? Or you want to know the winner?
I would like to know the winner, Billy.
All right, the winner of the NIT.
Yes.
Number 1, Memphis.
Dave Gettleman looks like he invites you over to check out the new deck.
A worthy NIT champion.
Yes, deserving.
69th best looks like we've had.
Very, very deserving. Very deserving. Excellent
You guys
job.
don't remember that card machine for real?
No, I don't remember that card machine. Can you explain
it? was a thrill.
I'm intrigued by it, though. Can you explain it to us again? Because I didn't understand it the first time. Are you saying it's a Hallmark card? There's a machine, you walk in, you create your own message, your own card, and it spits it out?
It may have been an American signature machine. I don't know exactly. Basically, you'd go in, you'd choose what you wanted the front to look like, you'd type up the message that you wanted it to say, or maybe a little picture on the inside, and then you'd put print, and then the card would come out, and then you'd watch it draw all over the card in front of you, and then it'd open it up and flip it around and write your message. It was a whole thing. I'm going to find it. You know what? I'm going to send this to you guys.
All right.
I'm not doing it justice.
Yeah, because we're all confused. No one's ever seen one. Heard of
People
it?
have
Nothing.
seen these.
No.
Yeah, people have seen these.
Cards overpriced. We can all agree, right?
Very
Yeah,
overpriced.
100%.
And you
Cards
want
are
it-
way overpriced.
You want to know what they do, and here's the key. If you buy a card that's in some sort of laminated plastic, right? They're making it look more important than it actually is. You're a sucker. I am telling you that right now. Those cards are $7.95 at my Walgreens.
Yeah.
Every single outlet that sells these cards has a section. You just have to find it. 99-cent cards. And people they don't care. You
They're
just
not
gotta
as witty,
find the
though. They're not.
No, I was going to say you can go to the dollar store and get dollar cards and no one would know the difference. I am a big fan, though, and I know this is corny and I'll probably get criticized for this. I like a good card that starts playing music
I
when
love
I
it,
open
too.
it.
Yeah, but
I was
that's what-
disagreeing with
music
Stugotz.
cards.
I like the ones with the little plastic sleeve on it. Like, this is a fragile card. This
Really?
is
No,
not
I don't like
business
those.
stuff.
I don't like those.
Why? Wait. Why do you like those? Because it makes your wife feel like you've gone out of your way. You've done a little something extra than just picking out any old card.
But that she doesn't even see that because you take that off when you put it in the card. That was just to keep it protected in the buying process, right? Like you take that little plastic sleeve off when you actually.
No, I keep the sleeve on because I wanted to know I bought one with a sleeve. What, are you out of your mind? I mean,
If you flip the card over on the back right above the barcode, it always tells you how much it costs.
right.
So savvy card receivers will look at it and say, how much does this person really care about me? They see that 99,
Right.
but they see that 7.95, like, ooh.
I was just going to say, like, do you think there are people who are analyzing the back of the card and judging you based off whether or not you spend an adequate amount on their
I was
card?
gonna say, it
Yes.
seems like a mean does this.
Yes, I mean, and wives, yes. Yes. Like, I'm not going to check. Amin does check. Billy's not going to check. Chris is not going to check. Your wife is checking. I believe your wife is always checking, you know? So,
What's your guys' strategy with? Are we letting the card do the talking? Are we writing a paragraph ourselves? I tend to get a shorter message and then I do a little bit of the writing.
this
That's
is,
what
I hate when my wife does this. She'll get me a card, and the card says very nice things, and then she'll write at the end, the card says it all. Love Abby.
I thought she was just going to say love Abby.
The card says, how about you say it? Okay.
It's so lazy.
Thank you. Right.
Stugotz is strong in her.
Yeah, but there's nothing worse than, all right, you know what, I'm going to write this nice message, and you do it in pen, and then you make like a mistake, and you have to like cross something out. Like, that's
Right.
the worst.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of mistakes are you making where you got to cross it out just to say I love you or whatever?
Yeah.
Sorry that you, I mean, I'm writing like full paragraphs here. Like,
What do you write? Walk us through what a greeting.
No, but
card
Chris
from
is right
would
though.
look
You
like.
might have like you make a little error. You know, like the O doesn't come out correctly in love,
Yeah.
and you want to like scratch it out and do it again.
No, you never scratch it out. What you do is you just distort the other letters around it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you miss an A, you miss an E, whatever. You just turn that letter into the other letter. Yeah.
And when it's a long paragraph, the handwriting just deteriorates as you get further into it. It starts out so well, and then you're realizing that I have little space left, so I got to start writing. I went too big in the first few sentences, and I don't have enough room, so I have to go smaller with the letters now.
I also think our ability to write has atrophied based off the amount that we are using our phones and typing now.
It has atrophied so much.
The only time that I handwrite anything is for cards to give to people for their birthdays. That's the only
Same.
time I write anything.
Trying to think if I've written anything else other than a card. I mean, I still write checks occasionally. But that's about.
You also like handwrite your note, like your scratch notes during the show.
I do. I handwrite those. Yes.
I'm always tight. Like I text ideas to myself rather than writing them down.
I remember them better when I write them down. That's why I do it that way, as opposed to texting them to myself.
Yeah, but then you need to find where you wrote it down, which I'm sure you lose all the time.
Then I take a picture of it on my cell phone, Bill. So I write it down on an index card. I take a picture of it on my cell phone.
And then text it to yourself just in case.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Didn't you write down like my predictions for like the Dolphins season, like win by win? You were like just writing down.
Well, yeah, no, but I had it in a Word doc.
But Bill, you do have a notebook back here where you wrote everything down, no?
Yeah.
Ooh, time to pick out a random show and see
Yes.
what we wrote about it.
Yes. Whittingham is looking for the notebook right now. Be
Go
careful.
to the composition. The composition notebooks are the best.
Be careful.
Those
under
are the
there, Chris.
oldest.
Yeah. There are things that will bite you under there. All right, he has the.
All right, I've got a date. It's March the 5th of 2013.
Ooh.
So we began in the 3 o'clock hour. Show killer or show killer? I guess we were trying to workshop the idea around Greg Cody. 320, 328. Comments by Rodman on North Korea.
This is a good show. I remember this.
Great show.
Only 5 minutes on that? 323 to 328?
Yeah, I guess we solved North Korea in 8 minutes.
Up against it. It must
Maybe
have
we
been.
just went back to the well.
Up against it.
Up
against it.
333. The rest of the half hour was dedicated to Maurice Claret for some reason.
Oh, those
what a bad show.
No, it's those tweets.
guns?
It's those tweets where he's up at 5:30 in the morning, like workout done, and like, you're just waking up, and it's like, shut the fuck up.
And it led to a subtopic: players that hurt City of Miami. So I guess it's Miami Killers.
Cortez was doing segments back then too, huh?
Malik Monk is on the list now.
Yeah. 4 o'clock hour begins with Kobe v. Ibaka. I guess this is a debate in the
who could
2013
forget?
NBA season.
Kobe v. Ibaka.
Like Ibaka.
They might got into it. I think they got into it at a game.
What year was this?
This is 2013.
Oh, yeah, Baca's still in Oklahoma City at that point.
He's also still in his
I'm on
50s.
418 to 426. The Upset Bird. 430 to 439.
Cody?
Heat. Best team in universe.
Oh, my God.
Cortez was on the show.
Cortez was definitely producing
We were
this.
all off that day.
That has to be when he was interning still, right?
530 to 540. Searching for Sugar Man. That's a documentary, wasn't it? I think
Yeah, it's a baseball documentary.
I still have that in my Netflix queue. I'm like, I'm getting to it. Like, one day I'm going to watch this documentary. 544 to 555, Mike Wilbon. Then 604, this is a classic Lebatard show segment. 604 to 614, are coaches needed in NBA?
I think Dan said they're not, right?
Is that the Stugotz Mike Ryan show?
You could tell that this was LeBron's Heat.
Yep. Variances in reported NBA player height.
We didn't do that.
Yeah, this
I
is
wasn't
when they-
interning that day. I didn't write that. I
this
don't
is-
use the word variances.
This is probably Dan making the point that Kevin Durant doesn't want to be listed as a 7-footer again.
And then
That wasn't a Stevie day either. Stevie doesn't use the word variances.
No.
and players that bring shame and or pride. And that was the March the 5th show in 2013.
Yeah.
Hell of a show,
That was
man.
good.
Udonis Haslam, Pride.
I just flipped to a random page. The first two segments on August the 5th, 2013 were Nathan Evaldi's fastball and I Miss Jake Long quoted to Dan.
All right, let's take a minute and welcome in Rex MD to the Dan Lebatard Show with Stu Gotz, the Dan Lebatard and Friends Podcast Network. We appreciate their support. We welcome them. Guys, take care of the people who support this show. That's all we ask. Listen, men's health doesn't get much attention, and that's partly our fault. It is. We don't like going to the doctor. We definitely don't like talking about sensitive issues. Here's the thing. A lot of men's health issues have really simple solutions. RexMD.com is here for that. RexMD.com is here for that. Guys, half of all men experience ED after the age of 40. That stat may sound scary, but it's a fact. And RexMD makes getting prescription ED medications easy, all done online and from the comfort of home, then delivered. No office visits, no talking to a receptionist. It's super, super simple and convenient. Right now, sample packs of ED medications are available for listeners of the Dan Lebatard Show, and I'll tell you how to get those in just a second. It's simpler than ever to get started. Here's how it works. You fill out a quick medical questionnaire on their website, and a doctor reviews your situation and prescribes you the ED medication you need. If appropriate, then your medication is shipped right to your door with free 2-day shipping. It's never been easier to take control of your health. Those sample pack prescriptions I mentioned are available at rexm-d.com/Dan. So go to Rex, REXMD.com/Dan to get started with RexMD. RexM-D.com/Dan.
Hey, people, tell us what in the sport made you laugh hardest this weekend. It is a segment we call What Made You Laugh This Weekend. Ha ha ha!
All right, a lot of funny things happened in the world of sports over the weekend. I say that because Chris has a lot of options for us today. So let's start off with Amin El Hassan. Amin El Hassan, your funniest thing from the sports weekend is what?
U.S. men's national team not making the Olympics. As everyone knows on Twitter, I hate the U.S. men's national team in soccer. Every time they fail is my success.
Soccer is dead. How'd you feel about that, Mike? Chris, how'd you guys feel? Pulisic, I thought he was like the savior of American soccer.
You very clearly don't understand the Olympic qualification.
Yeah, what I understand is they never make it. That's
Pulisic is age eligible, but basically all the players who are playing in Europe were not allowed to play in this tournament, so it was like only the MLS-based players, and they stunk. They stunk throughout the tournament, and they lost to Honduras for a third straight time, and it's really bad.
Pulisic was age eligible, but there was no way he would even if he were able to come back to the United States for it, there's no way he would be part of the qualification process.
No.
Part of what's wrong, too, is it's not our best players, and you know that other countries are going for it, but you should still beat Honduras. The fact that the U.S. has missed the Olympics.
We didn't have our best players, I swear, for 3 straight Olympics. You're right.
A million excuses, but none of them good.
Terrible goal they gave up.
For 3 straight decades, I mean.
Well, the Olympics don't happen every decade. That's every 4 years. But it's okay.
Just whatever. Soccer's dead. Chris Cody, what's your funniest thing for the sports weekend?
The Arizona Christian football team had a fat kicker kick a game-winning field goal in the SAC championship game, and a bunch of people were tweeting that it's congrats to Dan on his big kick. And then the official count from that Arizona Christian football team tweeted, Dan wishes he was GOAT status.
Nice little jab. I mean, what are you doing with jazz hands there?
Ooh. They told him and us, I guess.
Roy, funniest thing for the sports weekend?
A Rory McIlroy tee shot ended up in somebody's swimming pool.
I've been there. We've all been there. Billy, funniest thing for the sports weekend?
Every player with the first name of Gary in the NBA was traded at the deadline.
You stole mine.
See you, Gary.
Whittingham, what's your funniest thing for the sports weekend?
I'm going to go for Cristiano Ronaldo. He felt like he scored a goal in Portugal's game against Serbia. It was cleared off the line. It was very clearly over the line, but the assistant referee didn't give the goal. And so while the game was still going on, he threw his captain's armband to the ground and huffed off to the locker room while the game was still happening. Portugal down to 10 because Ronaldo was so mad.
Mike, your funniest thing? I have a thing that's funny. It also, I'm outraged by it, even though you guys told me about it an hour ago. But anyway, go ahead, Mike.
Really good UFC card over the weekend. The heavyweight title fight was really just the announcement to the world that Francis Ngannou is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters out there. Wins a heavyweight championship from Stipe Miocic, who might go down as the greatest UFC heavyweight ever. We'll see what Francis Ngannou does with it, but Daniel Cormier was on commentary alongside Joe Rogan, and seeing how dominant Ngannou was, they were trying to bandy about who could possibly take on this monster, because he is a highly evolved fighter. And Cormier, ever so quickly, it should be John Bones Jones, because they have a sordid past and a history. It would have been funnier if anyone else knew about MMA.
You're right. Sorry, Mike.
Wait, can I go back
You
to
wanted my
Woody's
fake laughter there, didn't you, huh?
Yeah, I'm about to say, I bet you wish you had told Stugotz to stop laughing.
Exactly.
Can I go back to Woody's real fast? Did Ronaldo get ripped for this, or is he just allowed to do whatever he wants?
He's just like a diva, right? It's like if Mariah
That's
Carey
what I mean. He should
did
get
something.
crushed for that. Is he like? But he can kind of do what he wants. So I'm wondering what the reaction was to it.
Yeah, more people were outraged that the goal wasn't given. Right? It was
that's
so
ridiculous.
clearly a goal. It went over the line, but he just walked off because he was so upset.
My funniest thing from the sports weekend, the weekend Zion Williamson had statistically, I can't say that word, after I called him a bust, 2 games, 39 and 38 points while shooting a combined 29 and 39 from the field. That's the weekend he had right after I called him a bust. The one that outrages me is Steak Sauce asking Sister Jean to do a cameo for me, and Sister Jean said no. She declined his request. Who the hell is she? I mean, seriously, I thought she's doing it for charity. So why would you decline someone's request if all this money's going to a good cause? Because I ripped you? Because I said you're starting to look your age? You're 102 years old. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong here, okay? Because Sister Jean, after they won the first 2 games, I'm putting you in a horrible spot, I'm sorry. But the headlines were, Sister Jean prays, Loyola Chicago goes on to win. When they lose, the kids got criticized. It wasn't Sister Jean. So when you win, she gets the credit. When you lose, the kids get criticized. That is not fair. That is not what being a sister of the cloth is all about. How about that? What?
She's a fraud.
Not to criticize her, but she really shouldn't be pitting God against people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It could be just because your name is Stugotz, and it's probably a bad look for a nun to say an Italian curse word.
But it's all for charity. It's all for a good cause. It's all...
Okay,
and
well,
it was,
she's also not going to promote Lil Nas X's new shoes. If it's for a good cause, she has a right to say no to things.
but it was promoting Stupidity, not Stugotz. Stupidity, a podcast.
I'm with you, Stugotz. She should have to go to the charity and explain to them why they're a few $100s short because she didn't feel like doing Stupidity promos.
Correct. Write a check. Like, if you're not going to take our money, then write a check yourself.
Well, I don't...
What do you mean?
How much money she has?
She's killing it. She has the number 1 selling bobblehead in America. What are you talking about?
I mean, she's probably she's keeping a piece of this, right? We all.
Yeah. All right, you're starting to come around. You guys are starting to come around.
You got to wet your beak, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, Billy, it is rude not to take. You're not taking money for a charity because you don't like me.
Well, I don't think she knows who you are.
Well, okay. All the more reason.
Stugotz, I've gotten a couple cameo requests where somebody's asking me to promote something and I'm not really sure what it is, so I kind of am just like, I'm not going to promote that. Like, she probably just had no idea what Stupidity was, so she's like, I'm going to pass.
Right.
Chris, you poor, sweet, innocent child. Whenever that happens, I do it, but then I put mad disclaimers all over it. Now, I don't know what this is about. If it's some weird Nazi thing, I don't support it. But if it's just a regular podcast, yeah, go ahead and check it out. But if it's something bad, I have nothing to do with it. I'm not saying no to the money, Chris. I'm just going to put disclaimers all the way through it.
You have, like, card disclaimers at the end of your cameos?
When they ask me to promote something, hell yeah. I'm like, if I don't know what it is, I'm going to make it infinitely clear to say, you know me.
Chris, not a heady play. You got to just fake it and take that money and, like me, and just put a disclaimer at the end.
Over the weekend, Howard Schnellenberger, it was announced he passed away. Very famous on our show, not just because of our affinity for the U and Coach Howard himself, but we also had the fake Howard Schnellenberger.
Mike, I'm wondering, though, were you emotional? Were you made emotional by that? Because a lot of people over the weekend were very emotional. Howard Schnellenberger, for those who don't know, was really the guy who launched the University of Miami football program in the early 80s. I think they beat Nebraska in a national championship game, or tied Nebraska, and went on to win the national championship against Tom Osborne. But he's the guy who really launched the University of Miami football program.
He really did, and he changed college football forever. I'd been bracing for it. Word had begun circulating that this might be around the corner, and Howard Schnellenberger passes away, and it was really cool to see the outpouring of people, not just from Miami, because you know that he's got the Tri-County area on lock in terms of his impact on college football. But he coached many places, and this guy has an incredible legacy. He was part of the 72 Dolphins staff. He recruited Joe Namath to Alabama, was head coach at Louisville for a while, once famously kicked Mick Jagger out of the weight room. Howard Schnellenberger was a character, and he came back down here to South Florida and started the FAU program, a program that is very respectable given how soon ago it actually started. He was a big part of that. It was successful. It was really cool to see him have that success at that level later in age. Coached with the pipe, very famous character, very famous voice, was really one of the lead head coaches in terms of integrating college football. Yes, there was integration, but not integration at major programs. And he invented the notion of the state of Miami. We're going to cast a net over the Tri-County area, and we're not going to let any of these elite high school athletes go to other schools. And it won Miami its first national title. Miami is simply not a thing without Coach Schnellenberger.
Where did he go? What was the job he took after he left the University of Miami?
USFL? Was it the USFL?
Because I always wondered, had Howard stayed, how many national championships he would have won as the University of Miami. I mean, Jimmy came in afterwards and won one, and I think Erickson came in afterwards and won two, and then they had that pause, and then they came back in the early 2000s of the Butch Davis and started winning again.
Yeah, Coker won,
right.
But it was all because of the foundation that Schnellenberger laid. And every single coach that's ever been successful here, and coaches that try to be successful outside of Al Golden, who wasn't successful because he let these recruits get away. You want the state of Miami. You don't want any of those recruits leaving. It's what every head coach aspires to do when they get down here. It's harder to do it in this day and age. It was harder to do it back then, but Howard Schnellenberger gave those athletes a path to actually play big-time college football, contribute to a big program, and there simply is no the U without Howard.
Whittingham, did you get emotional over the weekend as someone who went to the University of Miami?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not just about building out the University of Miami. Even just that notion of South Florida as a breeding ground for top high school football players. Mike mentioned the difficulties in it. It's largely down to the fact that everyone now knows that you come here. Like, Cincinnati builds their programs around athletes from the South Florida area. Dozens and dozens of schools know you got to come here to get top players. And so, yeah, I mean, everything that is football, everything that is University of Miami, like, it's funny when you see like teams do well in March Madness and all of a sudden Loyola Chicago gets a rash of students that want to be interested in going there. I don't think the University of Miami arrives as a school without this massive amount of publicity that all starts with Howard Schnellenberger. It all starts this, Miami being a college football and pro football city. And it's remarkable when you're at the school, just like the volume and passion of like UM's core supporters. I know they get a lot of credit or a lot of obviously criticism for having empty stadiums and it's not the best supported, but the people who are into UM sports are really into it, and you see that when you're on campus. And yeah, it all starts with him.
I think even if you're not into UM sports, there was something for me up in the Northeast. College football is not a big deal. We don't have a team to root for. People would say, okay, well, Syracuse. No, but Syracuse is 17 hours from my house. Seriously. It's a far drive. And so University of Miami became the team that a lot of people in the Northeast started rooting for, and Howard was the guy identified with those. I'll never forget that Nebraska game. A terrible mistake by Tom Osborne, by the way. I mean, seriously. He went for two. He should have been fired for it. It's ridiculous. And if he's still working somewhere, he should be fired for it still. He went for two at a time where he just needed to kick an extra point. And if he does that, Nebraska wins the national championship. But Osborne wanted the perfect season. And so he went for two, didn't get it. Turner Gill on a passing play. The guy never passed. Turner Gill decides to go a passing play. And Howard Schnellenberger wins his first national championship, UM's first national championship, and the rest is history. What a terrible job by Tom Osborne. Seriously.
Are you saying 38 years later that a tie would have been an impactful result?
Yes.
Because you spent all of the 2020 NFL season banging on about a tie.
That would have been a good tie. That's a tie that wins you a national championship. Osborne failed Nebraska. He failed Cornhusker Nation. They haven't been the same since. I think they've won 4 national championships since, but you get what I'm saying. Touchdown Tommy Frazier. Yeah. Lawrence Phillips. Those were good teams. Wow. Tom Osborne. Legend. Probably shouldn't have been fired for that, now that I'm really kind of... May he rest in peace. He's dead?
No, he's not.
Oh.
No.
Is that a fine?
$50.
Jesus Christ. I have no money.